Did you know that in the South Pacific Division, the biggest mission challenge are the cities of Australia and New Zealand? If you go to the Trans-Pacific Union, 1 in every 20 people are Seventh-day Adventists. When I lived in Suva, for example, I would go downtown and people would call out, "Hello, Tulla Tulla," the word for pastor. I had no idea who they were, but they knew me because I'd spoken to a group of 1, 2, 3,000 people, and I obviously didn't know them. In Papua New Guinea, 1 in every 28 people is a Seventh-day Adventist. In New Zealand, Pacific, the French territories, 1 in every 261 people is a Seventh-day Adventist. But in Australia, it is 1 for every 398 on average. But then, if you go to the cities, the average increases. For example, on the beachside suburbs of Sydney, from Palm Beach down to Cogra, you'll have to find 4,000 people before you would find a Seventh-day Adventist on average. And it's the same in the suburbs of Western Melbourne. These cities are the areas of challenge for us, mainly made up of immigrants from countries that are not Christian, or are Anglo people who are very wealthy, educated, and have no particular needs, it would seem. So, because of this challenge, the South Pacific Division had a Mission to the Cities think tank. And there we spent time praying, hearing what's working in other parts of the world, discussing, and just thinking, what would God want us to do here? We heard of innovative things happening and creative things where God raised up people in other cities to do all kinds of different ministries, from drug rehabilitation to cafes, to health programs and ministry in prisons. It was really interesting. But what was really clear is that God needs to raise up people so that they can go to these places. And so our challenge is to find people who are willing to shift into these areas where there are not many Seventh-day Adventists, or those who work there to develop them and train them so that they can be a part of the community. And the basic strategy that we're following is the one that the whole of the South Pacific Division follows. And that is that first we need to prepare the soil. And that means serving people, praying for people, listening to people, eating with them, discovering what is their need and meeting it. Then their heart is more open and willing to accept the Word of God. And there we got to teach people the Bible, share our testimonies, have DVDs like Beyond or Glow Tracks so that they can hear a message or run a meeting or a sermon. Then after that, we need to cultivate. And that's to listen to people, involve them in groups, care for them, help them to grow as a Christian. And then once they say, hey, we like what's happening, then we will harvest them. And the Bible talks about harvest as being calling people to decision. Like Jesus said, come follow me. And then he had his disciples baptise people. And we baptise people into the church, and they become part of the group of the followers of Jesus. And then once within the church, our challenge is to actually multiply them, to make them disciple makers, to develop their gifts and their role in the church and in the community. And in this way, with all kinds of creative ideas, we can reach the cities. We've got to strategize. We've got to pray. But God gives us a promise, and I want to read that to us in what the Apostle Paul received from God in a vision when he was in the port city of Corinth in Greece. And it's from Acts chapter 18 and verses 9 and and 10. Acts 18 and 9 and 10. And it says this: "Don't be afraid, Paul. Speak out. Don't be silent, for I am with you, and no one will harm you, because many people here in this city belong to me." God is with us when we go into the cities, and in those cities and those suburbs there are many people that do belong to Him, and we have to help Him to find them.